everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Britt. I'm an author, actor, just a creative in general. Follow along on my creative journey. I swear he does this when I'm filming for no reason. My dog is broken. I'm a geek and sometimes I talk about geeky things on this channel and sometimes I take you all on adventures regarding my creative life. Today we're going to do my year-end video. So if you've never been to one of my year-end videos before, I started doing this in, well, technically the year 2020. It was the first time I did it. But essentially, I ask myself questions the year before and I answer them at the end of the year, and then I ask myself some more questions. So today I'll be answering the questions I asked at the end of 2022 in that video, and then asking myself questions for the end of 2024. So let's do this. Oh God, what are you doing? Stop. I wish my dog wouldn't destroy my set. Fixed until the next time my dog decides to try and rip apart that blanket. So the first set of questions almost always involve my animals. So first question I asked myself is, how's Apollo? He's good. So this is my dog Apollo. Okay, he went off to find grandma again. My dog Apollo, he is a golden retriever. He is going to be 3 this year. Oh my gosh. He's gonna be 3 in March. That just seems really weird to me. He's my baby. He's my baby. It just seems weird that he's gonna be 3. You might see him pop up on the couch. He likes to sit on the couch. Hello, dude. He also likes to sometimes get my attention, so sometimes I might have to just give him attention for just a second. It's fine. Did we do anything with agility? No. The plan was to do something for agility, and I had the opportunity in the springtime, but this year was really tough for me just emotionally. I had a lot of stuff happen this year that kept my mental health pretty low, so that just took a serious backseat. We'll see if I continue down that path or if he and I decide to do something different to keep him stimulated, because he is a dog that needs a lot of stimulation, and agility would be a great option for that. And he's already done a few things because I have an agility set, like with it's a small tunnel, but I do have an agility set with a tunnel. I can put out like the weave poles. That would be something that would keep him very, very well stimulated. I just haven't done anything with it yet. How's Nova? She's good. She's actually right there, just slightly off camera. She is very frustrated because the dog has just been a lot for her, plus my sister's dog has been here a couple of times over the last like month, and so she's very dogged out right now, but she's doing well. She's healthy, happy for the most part. Still her cranky self, but what can you do? What can you do with a cat who is also an Aries? How's Irwin? Irwin is good. So Irwin is my bearded dragon. He lives upstairs in my actual work office, and he's doing well. He was going through it a little bit because his light went out, and well, his heat lamp went out, and he got really cold, so he wasn't feeling very well for a little while, but he's all back up and ready to go. How are the leopard geckos? They're all doing well. So all the leopard geckos live down here. I have 4 of them. If you're unfamiliar, I have 4 leopard geckos. I have Van, Langley, Surrey, and Haro in the order in which I got them. Van is the oldest. Van will actually be 13 this year. In 2024, he'll turn 13 somewhere. That's all I'm asking, dude. Leave the blanket alone. Van will be 13 at some point this year. I don't know when he was born, but I got him in 2011, and he was already pretty close to full grown, so somewhere early 2024 or even late this year, he would have turned or will turn 13. Leopard geckos male leopard geckos specifically, can live up to 20 years in captivity, so he might still have plenty of time left, but he is within that time frame right now where it wouldn't be a huge shocker for him to pass from old age. He is slowing down a bit. I have come to the realization that maybe crickets are not a viable food source for him anymore because he's just not eating as much as he used to. So I'm gonna start getting him worms, which were always his favorite food anyway. So Langley is the second oldest, and I got him in 2012, so he's in that time frame as well. He'll be, what does that make him, 12 this year? Holy crap. Langley, which is really great, because I was really concerned that Langley was not going to have a normal lifespan because of kind of his trouble at the beginning of his life. Langley I have had since he was a baby, and he nearly died. I took him home so that he could thrive, and he has certainly thrived at home. Surrey would be the next oldest, and Surrey, I think I would have got Surrey, she would be like 9 this year, probably. I got her as an adult, but hello. And you just need hugs all the time. Surrey, I got as an adult. I can't imagine she was much older than a year when I got her. And then Haro I got again as a baby. And Haro I got in 2016. So all of my leopard geckos are getting up there in age, which is just really wild to me. Because they were babies, essentially. I don't know how many times I'm gonna have to reset that blanket, but we're gonna find out. So Haro's the youngest, and Haro I got in 2016. So again, all my leopard geckos are getting up there, which just feels weird to me because they're all my babies. But yeah, so that's low down on my animals. They're all still doing well. Van is doing the least well, but that's to be expected because he is older. Next question I asked myself, sorry, I do have to keep resetting that blanket. So if I'm all of a sudden randomly in a slightly different spot, that's why. My next question I asked myself is, did I finally move upstairs? No. For those of you, again, who have not been around my channel, I rent my parents' mother-in-law suite. Well, my parents are getting close to retirement age, or well, they're at retirement age, but they're getting close to retirement at this point in time. And we made the decision when they bought a property on Lake Superior that they wanted to build a retirement home on, that we were gonna switch units. That I was gonna take the main house and they were gonna take the mother-in-law suite, which is essentially like a studio apartment. It's been in the works for a couple of years now, and it looks like we're finally going to be moving upstairs because my parents are finally actively building the house. Like, the house is going up. The house is being built as we speak. Literally, there are probably workers there right now. Maybe they left for the day, I don't know, but it is happening. So hopefully by the time I do this video next year, I will actually be in the main part of the house making this video in what will be called my creative room, which is going to be a second office for myself. Yeah, it's happening. Slowly but surely, it's happening. As a matter of fact, one of my Christmas gifts from my parents was this really cool, it's like a flag, fabric kind of thing, but it's a wall hanging of a lion, and my mom was like, I think it would look really great above your bed, and she took me into their bedroom and showed me where the bed would go and said, look, wouldn't this look really cool right here? So even they're like, no, this is happening. So it's gonna be. Did I start posting regularly on this channel? No, not even my shorts. Like, even my shorts I got behind on my NaNoWriMo, I got behind on my Vlogmas, and I just stopped posting both of those things. I did eventually get caught up with all of like my Disney shorts and my Pixar shorts when I was doing that project, and I'm gonna pick that back up again now. But now that NaNoWriMo is done and my advent calendar is done, because if you didn't know, my Vlogmas was basically just mine, Nova and Apollo's advent calendars, my advent calendar being watching most of them were like terrible, like Lifetime or Hallmark Christmas rom-coms, but I also snuck in a few like decent movies, like, well, I mean, great movies. Like, we watched Die Hard. My mom and I watched Die Hard. I watched Christmas Vacation, The Holiday, you know, so actual, like, not terrible made-for-TV movies. But I love a good terrible Christmas rom-com. They are my favorite genre of movie right now. They're so bad, but they're so good. But yeah, so I didn't start posting regularly, long form especially, because again, my mental health just wasn't there. I'm hoping to get into a good groove in 2024 and start posting regularly. But along with that, I would love ideas down below about things you would want me to talk about. Whether that be about film history, criticism, or theory, which is what I studied in school, or about author stuff, or about acting stuff. I do want to start my acting 101 back up again. So if you have questions about acting, let me know. Or anything geeky. I do still want to obviously make my geeky videos too. That's never gonna stop. That's never gonna go away. But I do want to kind of gear my channel more towards kind of helping me along my creative journey. How did the release of Deepwater go? Did you release in May or did you have to postpone? I had to postpone. I go through a much more detailed explanation about what happened with the release of Deepwater. Originally it was supposed to be released in May because I wanted it out for a nice little summer read. because it's based off of going on a Caribbean cruise, which is hilarious because actually we always went on, we went on 2 Caribbean cruises. The 2 Caribbean cruises we went on in the spring or late winter, because obviously we live in Minnesota, and cold climates, we like to escape that. So for a week we'd go to Disney World or we'd go on a cruise, whatever, when I was young, and we'd escape this colder climate. But I wanted it out in May for a nice little summer read, but essentially the editor that I hired, because I am self-published author who still went through the, you know, like editing process and things like that, the editor that I hired basically kept my book hostage for 5 solid months, and so I did have to postpone it because he was a terrible editor. I eventually found a great editor who I cannot wait to work with again on my next book, and I have good rapport with her and I adore her, so there's that. So it was released in November 7th of 2023. As a matter of fact, here it is right here. So here's Deepwater. If I can get my camera to like focus on it, there we go. So here's Deepwater, and it's 2 love stories in one, and I'm very proud of this. This took me literally years to finish. This was my NaNoWriMo project in 2018, and I finally released it this year. I'm so proud of this. I love that the chapters have this like nice little gradient, the little cruise ship. The cruise ship was my idea, but the gradient was all on my formatter. He was the one who was like, I'm just gonna do this, and it was so beautiful, so perfect. Love it. And again, I've developed quite the production team now at this point. I will only ever use this formatter ever again. I will only ever use the editor that I ended up editing this book ever again. I love it. I'm so happy that this turned out the way that it did. It turned out exactly how it was supposed to. So yeah, very, very happy with it. The release itself it's a bit slow, but you know, what can you do? I am a self-published author. I don't have a big publishing house behind me. But yeah, so I'm very happy with the way that Deepwater turned out. The actual like sales are slow, but again, I don't have a big publishing house behind me. I don't get to be in big box retail stores like Barnes & Noble physically because, you know, self-publishing is still not looked at in a respectable way, because there are just people who do just write a book and throw it up on the internet, and it's not that easy. So but for the, you know, and I understand that obviously editing costs money, formatting costs money, you know, cover designs, that all cost money, you know, so I don't want to sit there and be like, if you can't afford it, you shouldn't be able to do it. No, absolutely not. But, you know, it is an unfortunate issue that we're still looked down upon because there just isn't as much regulation, obviously, as there would be with traditional publishing. Did I release another book over the course of 2023? No, because all of my energy went towards Deepwater, because again, this was held captive for 5 months over the course of 2023. It's 2023. And I was miserable because of it. Not the only reason. My mental health took a serious dive, but it's fine. But yeah, so I did not, but I did finish another first draft, and I did start another book. I wrote another book during NaNoWriMo. You can check that video out right here if you'd like to. Otherwise, no, I wrote a first draft, which will hopefully be released relatively soon. But there are other books that I kind of want to focus on. A couple of first drafts I want to go back to, I think, when the new year starts. So hopefully I'll release at least 1 book over the course of 2024. That is the plan, at least, to release at least 1 more book over the course of 2024. Maybe 2. We'll see. We'll see how quickly I can work on those. Did I get another dog? So it became very apparent after Cosmo passed away over the course of 2022 and 2023 that Apollo, I think, would thrive best if he had a companion. Again, Apollo is a dog who definitely needs a lot of stimulation, and stimulation that a cat cannot provide or will not provide in my cat's case. And you know, I work 8 hours a day every day. A lot of times I'm going into overtime, and so I don't have, I mean, I have time for a dog because I have definitely taken good care of him. He's about to rip up my paper airplane that I made, so that's the tearing noise you're hearing. But he just, I think, would thrive best having a companion that can stimulate him the way he deserves to be stimulated. And and that becomes very apparent when my sister's dog is here, because he is definitely very stimulated. He has so much fun when my sister's dog is here. He gets into trouble on purpose because he wants attention. Hello. And you know, he is definitely a dog that needs better stimulation, and he deserves that. He deserves the stimulation that he needs. And so I did want to get another dog this year, but just a lot of stuff was going on this year that really just made, first of all, this year go by very, very quickly, mostly because I was depressed or in fight or flight for a lot of it. Yay, PTSD. Thank you. Appreciate it. But I have made it out okay. I'm fine. I do want to get another dog. I just don't know when that's going to happen. Hey, no, we're not going to play with the blanket. We're not going to play with the blanket, Ben. Like I said, he really likes to do things he knows he's not supposed to do just to get attention. A lot of those things are destructive, so it's not like I can just ignore him, and that way he doesn't get the attention, so he's like, okay, no, I'm bored, and then he likes to get hugs. Hello, baby. Can I finish my video, please? I really thought I was gonna get a dog in 2023, and it would have been perfect because Nova's 2 years older than Apollo. Apollo then would be 2 years older than this other puppy. So the timing just would be kind of really interesting where that's concerned, but that's just not gonna happen this year because the year is over. But hopefully maybe next year. If not, then definitely 2025. The other stipulation there was I really wanted to move upstairs before I got another dog because living in a studio apartment with 2 large dogs just is not easy. With Cosmo it was very different because one, Apollo was still a puppy when Cosmo passed. He was 8 months old when Cosmo had passed, so he wasn't full grown. He had gotten to a point where he was a big dog, but Cosmo was like a log by the end of his life. When my sister's dog is here, who's just a touch taller than Apollo, it becomes very clear, like, it's not easy to have 2 large dogs in my studio apartment. So moving upstairs is a key piece to that. So, hello. So I definitely want to be upstairs before I get another dog. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Plus, dogs are expensive, and not just getting a dog is expensive, but like maintaining a dog is expensive with vet bills and food and things like that. To take care of them is not exactly inexpensive. So there's a lot of reasons why I didn't get a dog this year. But no, I did not get another dog this year. I will get another dog eventually, but not this year. Am I still on my hiatus from acting? So in 2022, I decided to take a year off from acting because it was late 2022. I decided to take my year off from acting because I had come to this realization that acting had become basically a trauma response, because I found acting during a very traumatic time in my life, and it was a way for me to escape my world and not deal with my emotions. I was able to dissociate really well and kind of slide into this other alternate reality and not face my problems, not face what I was going through or my emotions. I got to live out other people's emotions, and I decided that I really wanted to take a break and focus on other things creatively. And you know, then the actor strike happened. Mind you, I'm not SAG-AFTRA. I at one point was eligible for SAG because I think it was slightly before SAG and AFTRA combined into one union. I think I was SAG eligible at one point, but I never joined because it's a lot. It's expensive to join and expensive to, not as expensive to maintain, but it's expensive. It costs money to be part of a union. And so I never joined it. But out of fear of being, out of fear of doing something wrong, I decided that while the strike was happening, I definitely wasn't going to act. So the year is up now and the strike is over. So I don't know. I don't know where acting fits into my world at this point. I'm still going to take a little bit of time to figure that out. If anything, I know I just want to do voiceover at this point. I don't know if I want to do much else with acting because, you know, it's also really hard because Hollywood is not exactly a safe space and it causes a lot of problems for people. And it's not like you make $1 million. It's not like you become an actor and all of a sudden are an overnight celebrity and millionaire. It actually, most actors make less than $20,000 a year. So I just don't know. I don't know. I'm still trying to figure that out. My relationship really hasn't changed much where that's concerned. How's TikTok doing? For some reason I asked about that, only just because it's my fastest growing platform. It really didn't grow much this year, which is weird because I posted on it a lot, especially over like the late summer and through the end of December, or well, through Christmas I should say, with Vlogmas. It's still going well. I don't spend as much time on it as I used to, but I still post videos as regularly as possible. I try to post one every day, and then I try to remember to make it under a minute or under, so that I can translate that over to YouTube Shorts, but I tend to forget to do that, so go me. How's my health journey? So if you have been around, this is gonna come with a slight trigger warning for eating disorders. If you've been around my channel for a while, why are you broken? Why are you a broken dog? So if you've been around my channel long enough, you will remember that back in my early days of this channel, I was a lot thinner, and that's because I was anorexic. And I struggled a lot when I started to gain weight back after losing a ton of weight after high school. And I started gaining that back. I've gained it plus a little bit, tiny bit more. I struggled tremendously with that emotionally, because when you have an eating disorder, I feel like you're always gonna have it. I feel like it's like being an alcoholic. You're recovering from it. And so my eating disorder voice tends to get really loud. And I've, over the course of 2022, had 2 bouts of anorexia. And then again in 2023, I had a couple bouts of anorexia again. And so I'm guessing the reason I asked that at the end of last year was because I had those 2 bouts of anorexia. And where I just didn't want to eat anymore. I just stopped. And I had no appetite for weeks. I only ate because I knew I had to, and stuff like that. And it's tough when you're going through a lot of stuff emotionally, and I struggled a lot with that. So it's not going well. I'm eating. But like, that's literally every time I talk about my mental health with people, my silver lining is at least I'm eating. Like that's where I'm at emotionally right now, and it kind of sucks. I need to get back with my therapist. It's been a while since I've talked to my therapist. Along with that, how's my IUD? If you don't know, again, last year I talked about this in that year-end video. Trigger warning if you don't like talking about uteruses, but guess what? Half population has a uterus, so you know, people without uteruses, especially if you were born without a uterus, should know how uteruses work. So stop the internalized misogyny or misogyny. I got an IUD because my body was really starting to revolt against me for having birth control pills being taken, because just of stuff, my own body chemistry, blah, 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 boring. But I have felt much better. My body has really reacted well to having an IUD instead of having to take birth control every day. And it's definitely a lot better. And I'm in a really good place with that's concerned. It was nowhere near as bad as I was expecting it to be. The few months after were nowhere near as bad as I was expecting them to be. And my body reacted beautifully to it, and I have not had a problem since. So I'm good. I'm happy. How's martial arts? I still haven't joined a school. I'm still, again, in a place with that where I don't feel comfortable right now. I think going back to martial arts at this point in my life seriously is only just going to exasperate my eating disorder stuff. So I'm not gonna do that. So I can't go a day without doing martial arts, so I still do it at home every day, unless I'm not feeling well. Yeah, love it. But I just don't do it seriously right now. How's work? Am I still in the same position I was in last year? Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I'm still in the same position I was. I did not get the raise I was expecting to get, but I did get a different raise, which is good. They did change a few things up at work, and I ended up getting a raise anyway, which is fantastic. I was not expecting it. It's not as much as I was hoping in the sense of like what I was asking for last year. So, but hey, I'm still hourly, so I'm good. Work is still good. I'm still happy there. I do think I'm ready to start moving into a new position possibly. So I'm gonna really be focused on that in the early parts of 2024, is where do I want to go and what do I want to do. So the fun trips I was planning a trip to Norway, New York City, back to Vancouver or something like that. And no, I didn't go on any of those trips, but I did go to Nashville. Found out that Into the Woods, which is my favorite Broadway show, was showing in again, and the closest one was actually in Chicago, but we couldn't make that trip, so we ended up driving out to Nashville. So we drove down through Iowa and Missouri. We actually stayed in Missouri. There's a whole vlog of this on my channel. We ended up staying in Missouri, just outside of St. Louis, and then drove out to Nashville, and then went back and spent the night again, and then drove back home. And it was such a fun trip. I had never been to Nashville before in my life, so that was fun. That was probably my favorite, not my favorite stage production. My favorite stage production I actually watched again. I watched a couple months later when Into the Woods was at the Guthrie, a different production. It was not the touring Broadway production. It was a production done by the Guthrie Theater here in Minneapolis. And that was probably my favorite stage production I've ever seen, because it was a thrust theater and it was beautifully done. They did such a great job. The cast was so cool, so great, so diverse. That's what's so beautiful about Into the Woods. You can really cast a diverse cast, body, race, all that. I mean, they cast a woman as the narrator and the old man. Like they did a great job. But my favorite cast recording is the current, well, not the current because it's not on anymore, but the Broadway cast, the 2023 or 2022, I think is when it technically started. The 2022 revival is my favorite cast recording. I did not get to see Sarah as the baker's wife. I always pronounce her name wrong. I think it's Britthalaas. Even though like I'm a big fan of her, for some reason I started pronouncing her name wrong at some point because I hadn't heard it, and I continued to pronounce it wrong, but I think it's Britthalaas. She was supposed to play the baker's wife. She was not on that leg of the tour, so I did not get to see her as the baker's wife, but it was still fantastic. That production was great. I really appreciate that production a lot. So I did do that, which was fun. Did I get my home gym built? No, and I actually decided against putting it where I was gonna put it. So originally my home gym was gonna go in the upstairs where my office is, but just in a different room up there. And my parents haven't moved out of that room yet, so I did not build it. But also because I want to keep all of my gym equipment together, which includes my elliptical that I'm eventually gonna get here in the next couple months, I'm gonna put it in a completely different spot of the house. So that's changing up. Did I get into an MBA program? No. I thought about it for like a hot second. I thought about it for like 2 months about doing an MBA program with my old college, and I'm just, because they contacted me and they're like, hey, we got this MBA program if you want to do it. And I was like, nah. And then that went away when I realized how expensive that was going to be, and just I didn't want to go any further into student debt because I didn't have to. So no, I did not do an MBA program. I'm not in an MBA program. How did conventions go? Wow, that is a hot topic for me right now. Conventions were fine. I ended up doing the most conventions I've ever done this year, which was a total of 5, which was not on the list when I did this video last year. I ended up adding 2 other conventions to the list of conventions I was gonna go to. And I am taking one off of my every year list. So for sure, at least one. There is a possibility that I'm going to take another one off because it's owned by a company that caused a lot of drama for me late spring, early summer. But I don't know. We'll see. I haven't decided if I'm going to take them off because the real culprit was the convention. One of the conventions I was staffing was the culprit for the majority of the drama that was caused and the re-traumatization. So that's, you know, for sure, I'm not gonna give that convention any further funds. And if you want to know what that is, ask me privately. I'm willing to share my story privately. At this point, I've promised to never speak the name of that convention publicly. And no legal anything is involved with that. They banned me from the convention. That's fine. I don't give a crap about that. But just because out of fear of possibly being harassed like I was late spring, early summer by the people from that convention, and I was outright harassed for like weeks. I just have vowed to never speak the name of that convention ever again out of fear of being harassed again because, you know, people are evil, horrible human beings, and I I'm just never gonna speak that convention's name publicly ever again. So if you wanna know, I'll let you know privately the story about what happened. And just hope that the people who ask me are people that are part of that convention, so they can leave me the hell alone. I've moved on for the most part. Moving on when you have PTSD is really difficult, but I've moved on for the most part. It doesn't hurt me as much as it used to. But yeah, it sucks. It's awful and I hate it. It was a rough year, y'all. Any new pets aside from the possibility of getting a dog, because I do want to set up a nano reef. I do want to set up a Malawi cichlid tank. I want an axolotl at some point in my life. No new animals since Irwin, who I got in 2022. So no new animals since then, unless the crickets that I buy and roaches that I buy for my animals to eat count. No new animals. And I really didn't have much of an urge to actually start any of that, because again, I don't have a lot of space down here. All of that is contingent on me moving into the main part of the house versus this studio apartment, which is already littered with too many animals to the point that Irwin cannot live down here. Irwin has to live upstairs in my office, my work office. So, and then anything else I did that was creative, yeah, I actually started painting again. I don't want to go get my painting, but I did paint. I'll put a picture that I took of it up. But yeah, I did paint. Finally, I did work with my acrylics, and mostly because when I was in high school and I was undiagnosed with PTSD at the time, I wasn't diagnosed until I was in my 30s with PTSD. But one of the ways that I kind of settled my brain down, and my sister kind of reiterated this, my sister's a therapist, and my sister reiterated this actually on Christmas Eve when we were opening presents, because my sister got me some reverse coloring books. She tends to try and get me, my sister who is a therapist, tends to get me things for Christmas and my birthday that she knows calms my brain down. We were talking about that, how like my therapy has always been art, specifically painting or coloring. I love coloring. Matter of fact, when I worked at Petco and I was constantly triggered, again, I didn't know that I had PTSD until well after I left Petco, but because of all of the stuff that I went through at PetSmart, all of the trauma and abuse that I went through at PetSmart, going back to the pet industry was actually a big mistake in regards to that, because I didn't know how to handle being in that atmosphere again, even though nothing like that happened at Petco. Petco was actually a great job. I loved working at Petco. I loved, for the most part, the people I worked with at Petco. I mean, there were personality conflicts, but that's to happen. But for some reason, I was always anxious and I was always depressed. And what I realized was I was always being triggered. Got to the point where I just sat in the break room on my lunch breaks and just colored. I bought myself an adult coloring book and I just started coloring. And that would calm my brain down. And so when I was in high school and I was in art club, I would often, after school, go to the art room and just sit down and paint. Because that's just how my brain settles down. And after a year of constant triggering and a re-traumatization, I just needed to finally calm my brain down. And so I finally painted something very simple, but I finally sat down to paint again and remembered what I loved about it, and remembered how relaxing it felt to paint and stuff. And I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that I grew up on Bob Ross, you know? And I think, you know, just his relaxation, you know, the relaxing voice sound and stuff, and just how he was always so positive about, you know, if you make a mistake, so what? Just make it part of the painting. I just let my dog in. I think that kind of thing really, really set how I felt about painting and how painting was kind of processed in my brain. And so I do want to start doing that again a lot. I mean, it's just for me and my family. I would never like make that anything aside from just therapy. So yeah. So I did finally paint again. Just one piece, but I did finally paint again. So just like at the end of every single one of these videos, then with the question portion, is I always ask anything outstanding that happened that was not covered in the questions. Because obviously the questions I ask are all based off of things that I'm planning on doing over the next year. And there are things that are just gonna happen that are unexpected, like my trip to Nashville. I didn't know I was gonna do that. However, I did plan on making trips, but just not the trip I was expecting to make. So had I not asked about how about any of those trips I was planning to make, had I not asked that question, I would be like, well, I went to Nashville. Anyway, no, nothing else really exciting happened aside from the fact that my mental health has just been really struggling all year. Basically, I even reiterated this with a friend at work. I was like, when was that first trigger that happened? Was it like February? He's like, yeah, I think it was like February. It was really early on in the year. And so since February of this year, my brain has been in a constant state of fight or flight, because that's just what your PTSD brain does when it decides to trigger nonstop and re-traumatize. So there you go. That's where I'm at. But I guess one thing that did happen that I did not ask about was my friend Kay and I started doing live streams about creative accountability, because they want to be a writer. I am a writer and want to continue to write. So my friend Kay and I are holding each other accountable for that. So do subscribe and come to those live streams. We do them once a month. We try to keep it as regular as possible. It's usually Saturdays at 2 p.m. Central Time. Both them and I are in Central Time. But like this month and next month, it has to be a Sunday because of just how the timing works out and stuff like that. But if you want to, please come. I try to announce it about a day ahead of time. So please come to our live stream if you would like to hold yourself accountable with anything creatively as well, or just sit down and chat, because we definitely go on ADHD rambles and we get distracted very quickly and very easily. So go for it. And this guy usually makes an appearance. Hey. Stop with the blanket, seriously. This guy almost always makes an appearance, so. And I'm usually yelling at him for messing with blankets. So let's talk about our questions for next year. So now is the quickest part of the video, because now we're just asking questions, and I'll maybe give some you know, context to why I'm asking that question. Hello, dude. Okay, go lay down. Go find a toy and go lay down. Okay. So how's Apollo? Again, all of my questions are always gonna start with how my animals are. Because one time I asked that question, and well, by the time I did the video next year, he was gone. Well, actually, by the time that video went live, he had passed. But Cosmo, I remember that video in 2021, saying how scared I was to think that he wouldn't be here anymore. And by the time that video went live, I had to put him down. So there you go. Matter of fact, tomorrow, upon filming this, tomorrow is the 2-year anniversary of Cosmo's death. So there's that. So yeah, so how's Apollo? How's Nova? How's Irwin? And how are the Leos, the leopard geckos? You know, did you lose anybody this year? Because like I said, I don't know where Van's at right now, but I mean, he's fine. He's acting fine, but you know, he's getting up there and he's just slowing down. Did you finally move upstairs? I think this has been a question for the last 2 videos. So this video and then 2 videos prior to this video, I think this has been a question. So for 3 solid years, this has been a conversation that I've been having with my parents. So did I finally move upstairs? Am I no longer in the studio apartment? Am I now in the creative room? Please, please, please tell me that we finally have more space. Please, thank you. Did I get my elliptical? Because I had talked about for years to get a bob. I finally do have a bob body Pona bag. It looks like a human torso and head and shoulders, and, you know, that kind of thing. I did finally get that. After years of telling myself I was gonna get one and then always talking myself out of it, I finally got it. But I'm hoping to finally get an elliptical, maybe with my tax return this year. Hopefully, I don't know how that's gonna work, but hopefully I get an elliptical. I also want to get an under desk like treadmill thing, so when I'm playing like The Sims or editing a video or whatever, playing through a video or, you know, whatever, I can also be walking on a treadmill. Because if you guys don't know, I know I'm a large bodied person, but believe it or not, I'm actually an athlete. I actually really love to work out. I really love movement. And anyway, to make movement easier when you live in a colder climate is nice, because I can't always go hiking. Sometimes it's too cold to go outside. So there you go. Hiking is my favorite form of cardio other than martial arts. But you can't do that in, cold climates all the time. So maybe this summer I want to take you all on some hikes that I go on sometimes, and so we'll see. Maybe I'll make some videos about the hikes I do in Minnesota. It'll be fun to see Minnesota and see the nature around here. It's because it's beautiful during the summer and during the snow times, but only after it had just snowed. So there you go. Did you release another book? Because, you know, we've only released one so far. And I wanted to release another one this year, but that just didn't happen. So did I release at least one more new book? How many books did I release this year in 2024? Did I go to Texas? And how was that trip if I did? So if you don't know, I'm planning a trip to Texas to see my friend Kay, but also because there is going to be a total solar eclipse in Texas. So Kay and I are going to go there because, you know, it'll be fun. I get to see somebody I work with as well, or used to work with. I don't really work with her anymore because I moved to a different team early this year, but hopefully I'll be able to see her as well as my friend Kay. And then, like I said, Kay and I are going to make a trip. I'm not going to say how close or how far Kay is from where the total eclipse is going to be because that is Googleable information. But you know, it's drivable. We'll say that. It's drivable, but to a Minnesotan, drivable is like 12 hours because I used to drive to Youmacon in Detroit every year. So, drivable means something very different in Minnesota. But yeah, so did I finally go to Texas? Did I get to see the total solar eclipse? I bought a telephoto lens, a massive telephoto lens with a UV filter specifically for this trip. So I better have done it because that costs money. But how was the trip? Did I try In-N-Out? Did I try Whataburger? Did I get to try other like places that Kay wants to take me to? Because yum, I love eating food. So, and no, do not make any comments about the fact that I like to eat food and the size of my body, because remember, I'm also an athlete. I used to competitively fight in martial arts. So, size of my body has nothing to do with my eating habits. It has everything to do with my genetics. So thank you. Did I get into a new groove with YouTube? Like I said, I'm really hoping to get into a positive groove with YouTube this year. That is the goal. I want to really take this seriously again and start posting regularly again. Probably not once a week, but at least once a month. That is the goal. How is Deepwater going? Is it doing well? Is it selling well? How is it all going? What is happening with this book right here beside me? Yeah, I'd love to know. I'd love to know that. Any other fun adventures aside from Texas? I mean, this year I threw in a random convention in Des Moines, Iowa. I threw in a trip to Nashville randomly because my favorite show was playing there. Did I do any other fun trips that I'm just not thinking of right now that I haven't planned out? And where did I go? What did I do? I have threatened to go to Southern California. I have threatened to go threatened to go to New York City. You know, did I do any other fun trips? Did I randomly just go to Canada one day? Because I mean, I'm just south of Canada. I mean, I'm like 5 hours south of Canada, but you know, I'm gonna stay directly south of Canada. So did I randomly just go to Winnipeg one day? Because I have not been to Winnipeg since 2007. So maybe I went to Icon, who knows? Did I get another dog? Was this the year I got another dog? I don't know, we'll see. Hello. I definitely don't want another golden retriever at this point. I'm kidding, I would love to get another golden retriever. Yeah, his puppyhood was tough though, so I'm not as into golden retrievers as I was when I had Cosmo. Hello. His puppyhood was real tough. Anyway, any new artwork, and are you actually around to show some of that, or are you not so lazy that you can go and show some of that artwork? So let us see some more artwork that you've done, because again, I found some serious value again in painting, and so I'm hoping that I can start using that as therapy, as a way to calm my brain down when my brain is in a really bad place, so that I can start to process all of that again. How was your year off from staffing conventions? I'm taking a year to just kind of not staff and try to re-find my love for conventions, especially after the re-traumatization this year. I'm taking a year off from staffing, because there is another convention I staff that I still am part of the staff for, but I'm taking a year off from staffing. And I need to take some time to process that trauma and to just deal with it. Anything new in my personal life? I've played around with finally dating again. Nothing serious, but anything new in my personal life that I want to share? Or am I still keeping that very private on whether or not I'm dating? I just like to keep some things private. Maybe by this time next year, I'll be a little more open about my personal life where that's concerned. This is a really weird question. Did I keep the bangs? So I recently got bangs. I've been playing around with the idea of getting bangs again for a very long time, especially because I've never had long hair and bangs before. So one day I went to go get my hair trimmed and I told my stylist about it, and she just cut bangs. She's like, well, no turning back now. You can't back out. So I have bangs. I keep them. I actually trimmed them today on my own. So we'll see how this goes. We'll see how long I keep them. Did I keep the bangs? And the long hair. Maybe I chopped off my hair. I don't know. This is the longest I've had long hair. I cut it in 2018 and I've trimmed it, but I haven't chopped it off since. And usually I go on like a 3-year cycle. No, I usually go on like a 2-year cycle. Like I grow out my hair, I get sick of it after about 2 years, I chop it off. This is the longest it's ever been long. So 2018, holy moly. That was like 5 years ago. Did I film and edit the docs that I want to, the documentaries that I want to for redoing upstairs for when I move up there to fit my aesthetic, which is changing because I used to do a very urban, or not urban, but like modern style. And now I'm moving more into a coastal, like boardwalk, kind of nautical. So did I, film the documentaries for that? And did I film the documentary about my parents building their house? And did I release them? Or are they going to be released? Are we still working on that? Because that is going to be a challenge. That's going to be a lot of stuff. So how's your health? How's your mental health? How's your physical health? And yeah, how are you doing? Because right now you're struggling. Right now you're struggling. You don't want to admit how much you're struggling, but you're struggling. How's martial arts? Again, I think that's just gonna be a constant question until I finally get into a groove with the school again. And actually kind of have myself solidified within martial arts again. Anything outside of what I brought up in this video, is there anything else that kind of was outstanding that you want to talk about in 2024's video? So yeah. So there you have it. My year-end video is done. This took a lot longer than I expected it to. I really didn't think it was going to be this long, but it was. So thank you all for coming along this journey, and I hope to have more journeys on YouTube and other places on the internet as I, take my journey on this creative life path. And thank you for being here during a really tough time where I just couldn't bring myself to post. And thank you for those of you who've been around through all of the ups and downs. It really means a lot that there are people who've been here from the beginning, and people who have been here seeing me just make this my favorite little creative outlet to my least favorite creative outlet. So there you go. Anyway, I'll see you all hopefully sometime in January, whether that be just because we're doing the live stream or if I actually post a video. Let me know in the comments below any video you would like for me to do, and I will see you all next time. Bye. You can watch last year's video here. You can watch another video here that the algorithm thinks will fit for your search, your algorithmic stuff on this website. You can click here to subscribe to this channel. Lots of videos to come, hopefully, whether that be vlogs or topical videos. And I'll see y'all next time. Bye.